Have you ever wondered about the darkest rituals of our ancestors? The kind of stuff that sends a shiver down your spine? Today we're diving deep into one of history's most chilling practices, human sacrifice. This isn't just about ancient myths or horror movies. From the misty mountains of the Andes to the sun-baked pyramids of Mesoamerica and even the boglands of northern Europe, countless cultures practice this extreme form of ritual. So why? What could possibly drive people to sacrifice one of their own? The answers are far more complex and fascinating than you might think. We're going to peel back the layers of time to uncover the motivations, the methods, and the meaning behind this disturbing, yet deeply human, phenomenon. Stick around, because what we're about to uncover might just change the way you see the ancient world. For many, human sacrifice was a fundamental part of their cosmic worldview. It was a transaction with the gods. Imagine you're an ancient farmer. Your entire community's survival depends on the rain, the sun, and the harvest. When a devastating drought hits, you feel powerless. Your priests or shamans tell you the gods are angry or hungry. What's the most precious thing you can offer to appease them? What's the ultimate gift to ensure the sun will rise again or the rains will return? The answer, for many, was a human life. It was seen as the highest, most potent offering. This is what we call a gift model of sacrifice, giving the gods something of ultimate value to receive a blessing in return, like a good harvest or victory in battle. It was a desperate act of cosmic negotiation. The Aztecs are probably the most well-known. Their cosmology was built on a cycle of creation and destruction. They believed their world, the fifth sun, was sustained by the life force of the gods, who had sacrificed themselves to create it. To keep the universe in balance and prevent the sun from dying, they had to repay this divine debt with the most precious substance they knew, human blood and hearts. Sacrifices weren't just random acts of violence. They were elaborate, state-sponsored events. Victims, often captured warriors, were led up the towering steps of temples, like the Templo Mayor in Tenochtitlan. At the summit, in full view of the public, priests would perform the sacrifice. It was a form of political theater, a powerful display of the emperor's connection to the gods and his control over life and death. It sent a clear message to both his subjects and his enemies, but the Aztecs weren't alone. Further south, in the Andes Mountains, the Inca practiced a different, though equally chilling form of sacrifice called capacoca. This ritual was typically performed to mark major events, like the death of an emperor, or to stop a natural disaster. But instead of warriors, the Inca often chose children. These children were selected for their perceived perfection and beauty. They were considered the purest offering to the mountain deities, or apis. Their journey was long and arduous. They would be feted and honored for months, traveling hundreds of miles to high-altitude shrines. Dressed in the finest textiles and given corn beer to ease their transition, they were then either suffocated, struck on the head, or simply left to freeze in the icy peaks. The cold, dry mountain air preserved their bodies, turning them into natural mummies that archaeologists are still discovering today, like the famous ice maiden Juanita. For the Inca, these children didn't truly die. They became guardians, eternal messengers to the gods. Let's shift our focus across the Atlantic to Europe. You might be surprised to learn that human sacrifice wasn't just a practice of the Americas. The Celts and other Iron Age peoples of Northern Europe had their own dark rituals. Instead of pyramids, their temples were often sacred groves or boggy marshes. They described victims being burned alive in giant wicker men or drowned in bogs. For a long time, historians thought these were just exaggerated propaganda to make the barbarians look savage. But then, archaeology started to back it up. The discovery of incredibly well-preserved bog bodies across Denmark, Germany. Individuals like the Tolland man and the Grobel man were found with ropes still around their necks or their throats slit. Clear evidence of a violent end before being carefully placed in the bog. Bogs were seen as liminal spaces, gateways to the other world, making them perfect sites for offerings. So we have offerings to feed the gods and displays of political power. But there's another crucial layer: social control. Think about it. Who gets to decide who lives and who dies? The elite, the kings, the priests. By controlling the ultimate ritual, they cemented their authority. The victims were often from the lower rungs of society or from outside the group: slaves, criminals, or prisoners of war. Sacrificing an outsider reinforces your own group's identity and superiority. It's a classic us versus them dynamic. The spectacle of sacrifice served as a stark reminder to everyone of their place in the social order and the immense power wielded by their leaders. We tend to imagine them kicking and screaming, and surely many did. But the historical and archaeological evidence suggests a more complicated picture. In many cases, particularly with Capacoca victims or certain Aztec warrior sacrifices, being chosen was seen as a great honor. They were treated like deities in the weeks leading up to the ritual, given special foods, clothes, and reverence. They were taught that their death had a profound cosmic purpose, that they would join the gods and become divine themselves. It was a form of martyrdom. Of course, we can't truly know what went through their minds. Were they drugged? Were they brainwashed by ideology? Or did they genuinely go to their deaths with a sense of honor and purpose? It's a haunting question, and the answer likely varies from culture to culture and from person to person. So why did this practice, once so widespread, eventually fade away? There isn't one single answer. In many cases, it was due to outside influence and conquest. When the Spanish conquered the Aztec and Inca empires, they were horrified by the practice and forcibly suppressed it, imposing Christianity. The Romans did the same to the Celts, but it wasn't just conquest. In other regions, societies evolved away from it on their own. Social and political structures became more complex. New forms of control emerged. Religious beliefs also changed. The concept of symbolic sacrifice, offering animals, food, or even just prayers instead of people, became more common. It was a way to maintain the ritual connection to the divine without the immense social cost of taking a human life. It was a gradual but profound shift in human consciousness. Looking back, the history of human sacrifice is a stark reminder of the incredible diversity of human belief and the extreme lengths people will go to in order to make sense of their world and control their destiny. It forces us to confront the darker side of our own history, but it also reveals something profound about the human need for meaning, for order in a chaotic universe, and for a connection to something larger than ourselves. These ancient rituals, however disturbing, were born from the same fundamental questions we still ask today. Why are we here? How do we face the unknown? And what is our place in the cosmos? The answers our ancestors found were brutal, but they were their answers, forged in their world. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into one of history's most unsettling topics. I know it's heavy stuff, but it's crucial for understanding the full spectrum of human experience. What part of this history did you find the most shocking or surprising? And subscribe for more deep dives into the hidden corners of history. We've got so much more to uncover together. Thanks for watching.